Hello, good evening to you all. My name is Shashank Sir and I am here with another session of Daily News Simplified. So here we will take up important news and article that have featured in The Hindu, Business Line and Indian Express newspaper. But before looking into the topics that we are going to cover today, we have an important announcement for you. We have compiled for you the DNS MCQs, that MCQs and multiple choice questions that we have taken up in our DNS session in this year 23-24. So link has been provided in the description box. You can directly download the PDF from there and you can practice them at your home. Else, those who want to attempt it online basis and in an simulation format, you can simply go to the eLearn platform, get yourself registered there. Then in dashboard, you will find this first option, that is DNS MCQ. You have to click on the attempt now button and this page will open and you can directly start test. So in this online format, you can attempt it and you can get the answers correct or incorrect, and links for the correct answers and explanation has also been provided. So you can use either method to check your preparation and practice, and through this compilation of yearly MCQs that has been covered in DNS. So that's all from the perspective of this announcement. Let us begin our discussion by looking at the topics that we are going to take up today. So from mains perspective, we have taken up two topics, that is RBI surplus transferred to government. Second is the challenges associated with Election Commission of India, because MCC and related news has been covered already. But in today's newspaper, there are some specific challenges related to ECI. So we are going to cover that. From prelims perspective, we have taken up four articles. First is external commercial borrowing. Second is based on the map location of Baltic Sea. Third is the coverage of important places in news. Fourth is the BIMSTEC. So without any further ado, let us begin our discussion. So the first topic of mains discussion is inspired from this news article which featured on page number 13 of the Hindu newspaper, as well as page number 1 of the Business Line and Indian Express newspaper. Now, as you can read here, RBI, the board of RBI has approved the transfer of 2,10,874 crore rupees, that is a surplus, to center for financial year 2024. Now, there are two important things which you should understand here. This is more than the double amount that government is going to gain this year. And that is why here you can read that union government nets windfall gain, because this is the huge amount, will help government to prioritize its schemes and its projects, and further it will help government in several ways. We will cover those parts in our discussion. The second thing is, apart from more than double the amount, that board has also decided to increase the contingent risk buffer to 6.5% from 6%. So we will cover that also, that what is it, why it is important, how it holds significance. From the perspective of UPSC examination, it has been mentioned in your GS paper 3 syllabus, issues related to planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development and employment, and definitely a surplus fund being transferred by RBI to government relates to all of the above mentioned topics. And particularly you can expect any prelims, any question in prelims also based on the nitty-gritties related to this surplus transfer. So we will cover that, what is this amount, how it comes, what is the nitty-gritties or importance of this amount that is lying with the RBI, why RBI is transferring it to government, and what has been the challenges associated with this surplus, because previously we have seen that there was a tussle last year and last year over this distribution of surplus. Government was claiming that RBI is withholding a bigger amount and not giving it to government what is rightful to the government. That was argument from the government, while RBI says that it is very important to hold such amount for future risk, to create a hedge for future risk. So the first question, from where this amount comes to RBI, what is it? So as you know that as a central bank of the country, assets with RBI includes the foreign currency assets, gold, government securities, loan that it gives to center and states, and the loan that it gives to banks. So these are the assets which are lying with RBI. Now, how RBI is making profit out of these assets is interest on these foreign currency assets such as bonds and treasury bill of other countries that RBI purchases or invest into. Secondly, the interest income on the loans that it provides to center, states, and other banks. So these are some avenues from where RBI makes profit. But it has its own expenditure also. So expenditure like salaries, cost of printing notes, maintenance charges such as rent, stationery, etc. These are, and other like commissions to commission given to commercial banks and primary dealers, etc. All these expenses. So these are the profits and these are the expenses. Once you will subtract the expenses from the profit, you will be left with net profit. Now, this is what the surplus is. This net profit is the surplus. Now, you know that this is net profit lying with RBI from the business that is being done by RBI here. Business, I mean the functions that are being done by RBI. So, why RBI is transferring it to government? Because of the section 47 which of RBI Act, which clearly says that after making all the provisions of bad, doubtful debts and etc., the profit shall be paid to the central government. Profit shall be paid to the central government. So this has been mandated in RBI Act itself. Secondly, we are using the term, as you can see here, transfer. Why not the term dividend? Because RBI is not a commercial organization. Fine. In 1949, it was nationalized. So it comes under the, you can say that the sovereign become the owner. Sovereign means state. Government of India becomes the owner of RBI. So RBI is not a commercial organization. So term dividend is more suitable for distributing the profit to the shareholders. So here there is no question of someone being a shareholder. Sovereign state is the owner of this bank, and that is why the term transfer is being used. That preferably used, that it is transferring the profit. And Act, you have seen, RBI Act mandates that. Now, how this surplus is important? It is important on various counts. Just imagine government getting up and above 2 lakh crore as a surplus. Now, this will go into the Consolidated Fund of India, where it will be utilized in paying salaries, pensions, various developmental projects, and other schemes. So it is kind of a surplus fund which acts as an enabler to the government. Now you have seen that RBI Act mandates this, the character of RBI and the relationship between government and RBI. Then what is the problem? Problem lies in the amount of asset that RBI holds with itself as a buffer. Now out of this asset and profits, what the general average of global central banks, because every big central bank like US Federal Reserve and the Central Bank of England, they all transfer the profit. because there is a clear mandate and clearly mentioned provisions and rules. Accordingly, they transfer the surplus. So what is the problem here? Problem is that amount which RBI has to keep it with self as a buffer for any future risk, losses, or creating an hedge for any unforeseen circumstances is way above in case of RBI. Just take an example that total asset value of RBI in 2017-18 was around 10 lakh crore. Now, RBI was keeping a reserve of, this was their reserve. The 10 lakh crore amount was reserve, which was 28% of the total asset. Now, if you will compare it with other developed countries and other big economies, the average is 10 to 14%. The major central banks of the world keep 10 to 14% of their asset as a hedge or as a amount that acts as a counter to future risk and losses and unforeseen some circumstances. But RBI keeps 28%. So government argues that this is their amount and they must be given this access to this amount so that they can implement their policies and they can handle the fiscal situation in a better manner. So this is the main concern, and this is why the main tussle between RBI and government. So how this profit will be distributed among between government and RBI? This is not a new topic. In 2004, the same debate started, and a committee was created named Usha Thorat Committee, and it recommended that RBI should keep 18% of its asset as a reserve, just 18%. But you can see in 2017-18 itself, it was keeping 28% as a reserve. So clearly, this recommendation was not endorsed, and RBI went ahead with what it wanted to do. Secondly, in 2014, what happened? The Malegam Committee came into picture, and it said that 100% of the net profit, whatever the profit RBI is making out of the resources of government, because you can see that this bonds and securities that they are using, that government securities and all, these are government assets. So whatever profit RBI is making out of it, they should transfer 100% of it to the government. Again, this was not implemented because again it was not endorsed by the Reserve Bank board. Now came in 2019 Bimal Jalan Committee on RBI's Economic Capital Framework. Now what is economic capital? Economic capital was the amount of capital that was required to be held by RBI as a reserve for future risk and losses. Whatever we have seen, the hedge. So what Bimal Jalan Committee said that RBI should maintain a contingency risk buffer. What you saw in this news article, that CRB, contingency risk buffer, has been raised to 6.5 from previous year 6%. So Bimal Jalan Committee said that contingency risk buffer should be maintained in range of 5.5 to 6.5% of its asset. Now they have divided it, this economic capital framework. They devised the economic capital framework, in which they divided equity into the profits into two parts: the realized profit and unrealized profit. What is it? Simple, as the name suggests. Realized profit is the actual profit. Let's say you have one property, you sold it. So whatever profit you made is the actual profit, that is realized profit. Whatever asset you had, you sold, you gain some profit. That is your realized profit, actual profit. Unrealized profit is that somebody is telling that value of your land has increased by this much. So what you can gain if you will sell is unrealized profit. So actual profit realized, what you can gain is unrealized. So Bimal Jalan committee said that the realized profit are transferable to government. They should be transferred, while unrealized profits should not be transferred. And what is the range? Range is 5.5 to 6.5% of the total asset, not profit. 5.5 to 6.5% of the total asset should be the reserve, not more than this. But for this revaluation reserves, the unrealized profits, 15.3 to 18.9% of the total assets. So Bimal Jalan committee says that if this contingency risk buffer is below the threshold, like your net profit is below this bracket of 5.5 to 6.5%, you don't need to transfer the profit to government. What you have to do, first you will make risk provisioning. That is, whatever amount is you may say the deficit is there, you will fill that, and if necessary, if some amount is left behind, then you can give it to the government. But if your net profit is up and above this contingency risk buffer is above this threshold of 5.5 to 6.5% of the total asset, then you should transfer the entire net profit. So if buffer is low, fill the buffer, then give the profit, whatever is left. But if buffer, you have the contingency buffer up and above the threshold, then give entire profit to the government. And that is why you can see here in this graph that this is not a constant value. It changes year by year. Here you can see in the first slide itself that it was in 2018-19 after Bimal Jalan committee's recommendation that RBI transferred 1,76,000 crore. But again, 2019-20, 57, 99, 30, obviously COVID years. Then it increased in 2022-23, 87,000 crore, and now the unprecedented jump in 2023 and 24 with 2 lakh 10 crore rupees. So that's all from this news. From the perspective of examination, the basic term, what is surplus, why it is transferred, how RBI gains this surplus, what is the limit, that is if this contingency buffer is within the limit, then you will transfer the entire amount. But if it is below that threshold, then definitely you will first fill that buffer, then whatever is left you will share it with government. So this is the present capital, economic capital framework. Now the second discussion of today's session is based on this news article which featured on page number 6 of the Hindu newspaper. Now Election Commission recently directly addressing the national presidents of the two biggest opponent in center, BJP and Congress, Mr. JP Nadda and Mallikarjun Kharge, it has warned them it has asked them to ask their leaders to stay away from making divisive statements and communal statements. And specifically for BJP, it has asked its president to in relation to remarks made by our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and it has also censured the comments of BJP candidate Abhijit Gangopadhyay, which he made against Mamata Banerjee. So this news article, what it talks about is that though this step was long overdue, but still it is not sufficient. It is not sufficient because ECI has been consistently it is being criticized of being biased in nature, and taking favoring the ruling party, and the main reason for such allegations lies in the appointment itself, that how executive controls the appointment and the post retirement life of election commission officials. So though first time they have named and they have taken some stringent notice of the situation, but still this is something which is not sufficient, because ECI has been suffering from several lacunas and demerits. So if you will refer to your GS paper 2 syllabus, it says that appointment to various constitutional posts, powers, functions, responsibilities. So in this regard, the key terms, that is appointment, powers, function, we will take up this discussion uh, which is centered around all these key terms, that why there is what are the problems with powers, what are problems with appointment, functions and responsibilities. And if you will see UPSC previous year questions, you will find that from prelims perspective itself, election commission and constitutional bodies are very important. From mains also, UPSC has been asking issues related to elections in India, including election commission. As you can see, in 2018, it has asked a question based on EVMs. And in 16, it has asked about the reforms in election commission that it has proposed in electoral reforms of 2016. So in this discussion, we will see that what are the challenges pertaining to Election Commission of India and what are the way forwards. And in this, we will also shed some light on the recently passed this Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioner Appointment Powers Act of 2023. We will refer to that also. But before that, let us quickly understand that why all this issue. As you know, India is a democracy, and election is a bedrock, the pillar of this democracy on which it can thrive, and it is thriving. So, election should remain impartial, neutral, and free from any kind of biases or malpractices. As if you will start from our constituent assembly, there were members who were of the strong opinion that state should not, or the to be precise, government should not be a party to the election procedures. So whosoever is taking up the charge of conducting election should be free from political biases, political pressures or local pressures. Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar specifically said that the person who is entrusted with the job of conducting election should be absolutely free from any kind of pressure by the government or local issue, anything. He or she or that entity must be uh, free from any kind of uh, pressure, they must act independently. Similar to that thought, our constitution also envisages the election commission as an independent body, and there are several provisions which talks about the independence. On the similar lines, Supreme Court, if you can talk about statements and cases recently in 2023, it specifically said that if election commission is working in a manner which looks biased and arbitrary, it would be something which is parallel to the right breaching of the right of equality. So Supreme Court is also talking about the independence and impartiality of election commission time and again. And in its own judgment, whenever a Supreme Court upholds the freedom and the, you can say, independence of constitutional institution like higher judiciary, implicit in that is that constitutional body should remain free from any kind of political pressure and biases. But despite all this, from constituent assembly to the constitution to the Supreme Court or higher judiciary, still there are some challenges pertaining to functioning of the election commission of India. So let us look at them one by one. The first issue is lack of parity, and this parity is gets started within the election commission. The between chief election commissioner and election commissioner. Now, for that you have to see Article 324. This is text of the Constitution. You can see that in subclause 5, what does it says? That chief election commissioner shall not be removed from his office except in like manner and like ground as the judge of Supreme Court. Okay, so the manner in which the impeachment, that the manner in which you have read it in your textbook, the judges of Supreme Court can be removed, is applicable to the chief election commissioner. So there is a security of tenure and independence, but this security and this independence is not provided to other election commissioners, because it further says that other election commissioners or regional commissioners shall not be removed from office except on the recommendation of the chief election commissioner. So while CEC is enjoying the status of judges of Supreme Court, on his advice, other election commissioners can be removed. So while here we can argue that there is safe security of tenure, here it is not there. It is based on whims and fancies of CEC, or you better to say executive. If executive gives a directive that we have to remove this election commissioner, just CEC will endorse that and the person will be removed. So this is the first issue, that there is no parity within the organization itself. The second issue is the Appointment Act of 2023 itself. How? First is the clear dominance of executive in appointment. Now, if you will see this act, you will find that in subclause 7, it says that the selection committee, Prime Minister will appoint the CEC and the President will appoint the CEC and other commissioner, and on the basis of recommendation of a selection committee. And selection committee will include Prime Minister, leader of opposition, and a union cabinet minister nominated by the Prime Minister. So, a clear dominance of executive or the government in their selection process. Problematic thing is subclause 2. It says the appointment of chief election commissioner and other election commissioners shall not be invalid merely by a reason that any vacancy is there in the selection committee. So let's say if LOP is not there, leader of opposition is not there, still if this committee says that this person should be election commissioner or chief election commissioner, that person will be CEC or EC, president will appoint that person. So vacancy is not a ground. Secondly, it says any defect in the constitution of the selection committee itself. So there is no issue if somebody will raise a question that there is a defect in constitution of, let's say, this union cabinet minister was picked or nominated in a wrong manner. No, this is also not a ground. So basically it is open to all kind of interpretation and nothing can stop this recommendation to prevail. So this is the problem. Now comes the third thing. Our constitution is completely silent upon the qualification of the election commissioner or chief election commissioner. Nothing like what should be the legal qualification, or there should be something like service criteria or particular service, or nothing is mentioned in the constitution. So again, just read the section 5 of this Act of 2023. It says that chief election commissioner and other election commissioners shall be appointed from amongst persons who are holding or have held post equivalent to rank of secretary to the government of India. Now those who are preparing for UPSC, you all know who is going to be the secretary, who is going to uh, have this post of Secretary of Government of India? Definitely the civil servants. Now, as an election commissioner, apart from the administrative functions, you also have to you also have to do some execute some quasi judicial functions. Quasi judicial functions like election commission time and again has to decide upon the qualification and disqualification. They have to advise the president for disqualification of MPs. In a similar pattern, they have to give advice to governor for disqualification of MLAs. Further, they are entrusted with the work of adjudicating the issues of the confrontation or conflict of allocation of symbols. As you can see, recently Shiv Sena and NCP had two factions. They were fighting for the name and the symbols. So you have to adjudicate these matters of related to symbol or registration of political parties, that which party is the real party, if there is a division in the party. So these kind of functions are quasi judicial. Now you are limiting the choices as for a person to become a commissioner or a chief election commissioner just to civil servants. Now, how you can expect this person to be 100% capable or perfect, or you may say the legitimate choice for a person who needs to perform both administrative, advisory, as well as quasi judicial function. I'm not saying civil servants are not capable, but you must have that diverse pool, because people are there. People are there in judiciary, people are there in other services, people are there in other field and walks of life who can perform these functions with an equal efficiency. But just limiting it to the civil servants, it's kind of you are devoiding the apparatus from some choices. So this is another issue with this act, that qualification is not there in constitution, and when we have brought in some law, there are some issues with that. Then comes the retirement. Now again, constitution is silent on the reappointment of the election commissioners after retirement. So again, a lucrative, you can say, prospect of getting appointed as member of Rajya Sabha, or member of being appointed as chairman of some committee, or you can say governor of some state. This lucrative prospect somewhere hinders the nature that independent election commission and free and fair election, because that prospect of being rewarded after service gets over sometimes creates more biases in serving officials. So there is no bar in their reappointment after the retirement. Then again, similar to the first point, as there was lack of parity, there is clear lack of clear demarcation of power division between CEC and ECs. There is no demarcation of the functions and powers between chief election commissioners and election commissioners. So on one side, you are not demarcating power, what are their functions. On one side, you are protecting only one post, leaving others at the mercy of the CEC. So this is kind of, you may say, paradoxical situation where power division is not there, but you are giving constitutional protection to one person and leaving others at the discretion of the Chief Election Commissioner. So these are some issues related to the power, function and appointment in the Election Commission of India. There are some other issues we have not taken up. We have simply covered the keywords in the syllabus itself. Now what could be the way forward? First and foremost, the qualification experience for commissioners focusing on legal expertise, administrative competence and integrity. So this is the first and foremost. It will enlarge the pool of available person. Second, secure tenure for all election commissioners to prevent arbitrary removal. Then define roles and responsibility of CEC and other commissioners, as we saw in the last point of discussion. Then the retiring commissioner should be should be prevented from any government position immediately. There should be some cool off period to prevent the conflict of interest. Then definitely election commission, greater autonomy is required, greater power is required. In MCC discussion, you have seen that several law commission, election commission itself have asked for statutory backing for MCC and further powers for election commission. Then it is very important to invest into regular training of commissioners and staff to improve their understanding of electoral process and technologies. Lastly, there should be a periodical review and for the adaptation of commission's functioning to address emerging challenges and maintain electoral integrity. So these are some suggestions that can improve the situation of ECI, and that brings us to the prelims discussion of the today's session. Now the first question is based on this news article which featured on page number 5 of the Business Line newspaper, and it says that ECBs, that is external commercial borrowings raised by Indian corporations, zooms to 84%. Now it is at 49.2 billion for the financial year of 2024. It was 26.7 billion for the financial year of 23. So it is a 84% jump. Now why we have taken up this news article? Because the key terms in news and related to external trade, export, import are very important from the perspective of UPSC. As you can see, in 2014, it has asked a question based on the constituents of the balance of payment, that is specifically current account. So we have curated a question based on this external commercial borrowing. So what is it? What is external commercial borrowing? Now, as the name suggests, external. So borrowing means loan. So it is a loan given by a non-resident entity. Non-resident means who is not residing in India or registered in India. Non-resident entity to Indian borrowers, and it generally comes in the foreign currency. So definitely, if they are investing in foreign currency and flow is good, if it is rising, it gives access to the Indian companies as well as PSU to the liquidity, or you may say funds, in foreign currency, and it sorts things for their business, and much needed fund for these big PSUs and companies is sorted. So there's this external commercial borrowing. Now there are some limitation to it. A limitation, you may say the correct word would be, there are some checks on external commercial borrowing. First is, it cannot be used for investment in the stock market or speculation in real estate. And the regulating body is the Department of Economic Affairs, which comes under Ministry of Finance along with Reserve Bank of India. So Reserve Bank of India gives the guidelines and regulates the external commercial borrowing in India along with DEA, that is Department of Economic Affairs. Now, you know that generally the balance of payment, which is simple, it is a record of transaction in goods, services, assets between residents of the country and rest of the world. So let's say X is resident of the country, or X, you can take the trading in goods, services, etc., with some rest of the world, that is Y. So whatever will be the record, the effective number, the whatever you have traded, the export minus import, or it is kind of transaction, this is balance of payment. What goes out, what comes in, if you will subtract this, you will get what is the balance of payment. So it is calculated in two ways, that is capital account and current account. This record is maintained in two manner, the capital account and current account. ECB is a part of capital account. Now what is capital account? What constitute capital account? First, that investment. Investment, that is direct investment in form of FDI, that is foreign direct investment, equity capital, reinvested earning and other direct capital flows. Second, the portfolio investment, the foreign FIIs, the FPIs, offshore funds, etc., the portfolios in investments. Then comes the external borrowing, that you are borrowing from an external entity like ECB that we just read about, and short term debt that we have taken. Then comes the external assistance that is given by some foreign government or foreign company on a lower rate of interest. These assistance in terms of aid, multilateral, bilateral loans, etc. And current account, is first is the private transfers like gifts, remittances, etc. Then comes trade in goods and trade in services. So these three majorly contributes or constitute the current account, while investment, external borrowing and external assistance come under capital account. So question says, with reference to balance of payments, consider the following: portfolio investment, ECB, private remittances and bilateral loans. How many of the following constitute the capital account? Now you know that private remittances comes under current account, not the capital account. Rest 3 comes under capital account. So our answer would be C, that is only 3. The next question is based on this news article which featured on page number 12 of the Indian Express newspaper. Now, recently Russia made a claim that the map that it has around Baltic Sea is based on some older nautical charts. So it is going to remap the area by using the contemporary charts and contemporary methods. Now this announcement came as a surprise to many countries, because definitely if you are going to redraw the map, you are going to claim different territories, and the countries like Finland, Sweden, Lithuania and Estonia, who are members of NATO, were seriously concerned because it was being seen as a aggressive stance by Russia. But now Russia has deleted its draft plan, and kind of world is speculating that it has dropped and it was just a maneuver to give a warning to NATO and the Western allies that we can do this. Kind of assertiveness was there. So important places in news becomes the theme of the map based question in UPSC examination. As you can see, in 2017 it has asked a question based on the bordering countries of Mediterranean Sea. So we have curated a question based on the bordering countries of Baltic Sea. Now, Baltic Sea is an extension of North Atlantic Sea. Now, if you can see, it stretches from south of Denmark and covering 9 countries altogether, and Gulf of Finland and Gulf of Bothnia. It acts as a partition between the Scandinavian countries and the mainland Europe. So it acts as a partition between these two. And there are 9 countries which are bordering the Baltic Sea, starting with Denmark, Germany, Poland, the Russian enclave of Kaliningrad Oblast, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, mainland Russia, Finland, Sweden. These are the 9 countries. So if you will see the options here, France is not a bordering country of Baltic Sea, while other, that is Estonia, Russia and Germany, are. So our answer would be C, that is only 3. Now the next question is again a map based question because of this news article which featured on page number 1 of the Hindu newspaper, that Ireland, Norway and Spain set to formally recognize Palestine. Now what is this? This is diplomatic recognition, and it kind of gives impetus to the demand of any country to declare itself as a sovereign country. So these important European countries, Ireland, Norway, and Spain, are going to recognize. They have set out their plan and have shown their interest to formally recognize Palestine as a country. And in retaliation, Israel has called back its envoys from all these 3 countries. And recently, you might have watched that DNS where we have covered that UN resolution has also passed with a thumping majority of 143, voting in favor of Palestine to be accorded a member status of United Nations General Assembly. And General Assembly has forwarded the proposition to Security Council, and they have asked them to consider the matter in the similar positive manner, that there are demands to recognize Palestine as an independent sovereign country. So definitely this step is going to give further it is going to act as a reinforcement to such demands, and more of it legitimizes the demand of Palestine as a free country. So news, the news, which important places in news are pretty much important theme from the prelims perspective. As you can see, in 2023 itself, UPSC has asked a question based on these locations: North Kivu, Nagorno-Karabakh and Kherson. So answer for this PYQ is D. So we have curated a similar question because this formal recognition we have covered in previous sessions. So we have taken up some important places in news, and that we have listed here. First is Jabalia. Now Jabalia is recently in news because of the Israeli forward movement in North Gaza. There is a huge refugee camp here, and Israeli forces are moving ahead in this area, Jabalia, and now experts are raising concerns over the possible humanitarian crisis that is going to occur in this zone. So this pair is correctly matched. That is, Jabalia is in Palestine, uh, more precisely North Gaza. Second option is Kutupalong. Now, Kutupalong is again a major refugee camp in the country of Bangladesh. It lies in the district of Cox's Bazar, which is a coastal district. Now, this is a huge refugee camp, mainly sheltering Rohingyas. Now, why it was in news? Because a huge, massive fire engulfed this camp and destroyed uh, the you can say the setup and the facilities there, and there was huge loss of life also. So this was new, this was in news, so this pair is not correctly matched. The answer is Bangladesh, not Ukraine. While this Gaziantep is correctly matched, it lies in the southeastern part of Turkey, and it was one of the major cities which was badly impacted in the last year earthquake that hit Turkey, which had a magnitude of up and above 7 Richter scale. And Gaziantep was very, you may say, it was hardly 60 km away from the epicenter and one of the major center which faced the destruction of this earthquake. So two options are correctly matched. So our answer would be B, that is only 2. Now that brings us to the last question of today's session, and which talks about the Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, that is BIMSTEC. Now BIMSTEC is now it gets a legal personality. And how it is significant, that it will now be open to new members and observer. It can accord the status of observer because its first charter of the grouping, which came into force on May 20th. The first charter, which was passed recently, came into force and which gave it status of a legal personality. So now it can accord membership and it can accord status of observers. So important grouping, bilateral and multilateral grouping are important from the perspective of UPSC examination. As you can see here, in 2016, UPSC asked a question based on RCEP, that is Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. So we have taken up a question based on BIMSTEC. Now BIMSTEC is a unique organization in a sense that it acts as a bridge between the South Asia and Southeast Asia. It has 7 members in total, and the name of the members is Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, and Sri Lanka from South Asia, and Myanmar and Thailand from the Southeast Asia. So how it came into light, this organization? Through Bangkok Declaration, which was signed in the year 1997. The secretariat is in Dhaka and is operational since 2014. Now, if question is asked that all the members are there, all the members are founding member, or who are the founding member, answer would be Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. And at that time, it was named as BIST EC, BIST EC. Now then, it included Myanmar, and it was named as BIMSTEC, and further the latest entrant are Nepal and Bhutan, which were included in the 6th ministerial meeting in 2004, and it was formally named as BIMSTEC, what we know today. So the summit meeting is held every 2 years. It is a biennial exercise, summit meeting, while ministerial meeting precedes this summit meeting. So summit meeting held after every 2 years. Okay, and hosted by obviously the country which is holding the chair, and decisions are made on consensus. Fine. So the important summit that we were talking about, the charter which came into force, was passed in the 5th BIMSTEC summit, the you may say summit meet of 2022. It was held virtually in Sri Lanka, by Sri Lanka. It was hosted, and main outcome was adoption and signing of BIMSTEC charter. Now this charter came into force, which formalizes the grouping into an organization made up of member states that are littoral to and dependent upon the Bay of Bengal. So let us solve this question. A question says you have to identify the correct statement. The first statement says it was established with the adoption of Bangkok Declaration. This is correct. It was it was established with the Bangkok Declaration of 1997. Second statement says all decisions of the BIMSTEC summit shall be made on the basis of consensus. This is correct. The third statement says BIMSTEC charter was signed and adopted during fourth summit. This is wrong because this is fifth summit in 2022 where charter was adopted and signed. So as we had to find the correct statement, our answer would be B, that is only 2. So that's all for the today's session, and if you like our initiative, do like the video, subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for more such updates. Thank you.